I'm Vera. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so tonight I will tell you a train story. In my last year at the university in Bulgaria, which is last century actually, I started working for a marketing research company, and I was doing simultaneous interpreting from English into Bulgarian. Which means when we were having a foreign customer with a marketing survey and they were organizing some group discussions, discussing products, prices, labels, I had to be there and to translate from Bulgarian into English. Now, I was studying business administration and I have never had training in simultaneous interpreting, but in Bulgaria everybody does what they have not studied for. So I did some simultaneous interpreting. One could argue whether this was simultaneous interpreting or rather simultaneous storytelling, but one way or the other, I got paid for it. Most of our group discussions were held in Sofia. This is the capital of Bulgaria. Some geography information for you. But once we had to have a group discussion in Plovdiv. Sofia is here, Plovdiv is here, to the south of Sofia. And Plovdiv is my favorite town. There's an old Roman amphitheater, there's also the oldest brewery in Bulgaria, and very beautiful women. Now, don't look at me, I don't have any relatives from Plovdiv. And this customer that has paid for the survey was a very important customer for us, and the group discussions were extremely important and everything had to go very smoothly. The field team were there from the previous day, and I and the cameraman, we had to travel on a Monday morning from Sofia with the train to Plovdiv. And I'm a very organized person. I take care in arranging my stuff. So I ordered a taxi for 4 o'clock. I also set up my alarm clock for 4 o'clock, and I ordered 2 taxis just in case one would not come, which happens in Bulgaria. So 40 minutes before the departure of the train, I was already at the central railway station waiting for the cameraman. And these guys, they come always with delay, and I was there pacing up and down the platform. I have checked already 5 times which platform the train is leaving from, and he's not coming, and I'm getting nervous, because we'll miss the train and my boss will kill me and I'll lose my job. And he finally comes only 5 minutes before the start of the train, which for me is a huge delay, and I expect him to apologize. And instead of apologizing, he's asking me why the engine is looking north. And I have no clue, and I don't care, and I'm bad in geography. This is why I'm here. In Germany, I mean. And I tell him we have to get onto the train because otherwise we're missing it. And he agrees, and we got on the train, and he's a new guy to the company, so I didn't know him much. We find a compartment for the 2 of us, we sit down, we chat, and to my surprise, the train leaves on time, which is a rare thing in Bulgaria. And I'm thinking, okay, now we're in the train, everything's going smooth, we'll be there on time, no problem, until the ticket inspector comes. I show him the tickets, and he says, this is an express train, first stop Mezdra. Mezdra is a town in Bulgaria. And I'm thinking, wow, what a service. They don't check your tickets only, they also give you some geography tips. And I expect that next thing he'll say will be longest river in the region or highest mount in the region. And I wait for it, and it doesn't come. Both the cameraman and they stare at me, and I know I have to say something, and I say, okay, we are not getting off at Mezdra, of course, we are waiting for Plovdiv, and then we get off. And the cameraman and the ticket inspector, they look at me as if I don't make sense. And the cameraman, he wants to be helpful, he says, this train is going north, and I realize things are going south. actually we have gotten onto the wrong train, which I cannot understand and I cannot explain. I start shouting at the ticket inspector because we have taken the train at 6 o'clock from platform 6 and I don't see how we can be in the wrong train. And the ticket inspector, he explains that there were 2 trains at the platform leaving north and south at the same time and from the same platform. And I'm thinking, out of the 3 trains that we have in Bulgaria, how is it possible that 2 of them at the same time, from the same place? It's a 50-50 chance that you get onto the correct train. Anyway, I lose my hope. I know I'll be fired, killed, or first killed, then fired, doesn't matter. I sit down and I start contemplating on my poor fate. And then I hear the other geography question coming from the cameraman. He's asking, which is the next village on the line of the train? Who cares? I'm fired now. Obviously, the cameraman cares, and he says to the ticket inspector, now please, can you go and talk to the engine driver and tell him to stop the train there at the Thompson station. And the train driver, the ticket inspector, he's already sure that he's dealing with 2 morons, me and the cameraman. And he explains it's actually illegal for the express train to stop at the small villages, which of course is not a good reason enough for the cameraman to drop his idea of getting off at Thompson station. He says, okay, if it is illegal to stop the train, go talk to the guy, tell him to slow down and we jump. And I have already screwed up the situation and I don't want to be taken for a coward. It's okay if somebody thinks I'm stupid, that's okay, that can be in my genes, I cannot do anything about it, but to be taken for a coward, this is beneath my dignity. So I don't say anything, but I'm praying and I'm thinking, okay, now the ticket inspector, he needs to say something and to talk the cameraman out of his idea of jumping from a moving train. And sure enough, the ticket inspector is a wise man. He doesn't argue at all with the cameraman because the cameraman is 2 meters high and he has the body of a wrestler. So it would not have been very wise of him to argue. Instead, actually, I found out later on that the cameraman was a previous national judo wrestler, whatever it is called, champion. So it was a wise idea of the ticket inspector not to argue with the cameraman. So the ticket inspector, he goes to talk to the engine driver. Meanwhile, I get the lesson, everything you need to know about jumping from a moving train. Which is not much, actually. Actually, you just need to jump in the direction of the move and keep running until you stop. In a couple of minutes, the ticket inspector comes back successful at his negotiations with the engine driver. He gets a little bit of monetary appreciation of his negotiation skills from the cameraman. And we prepare to go and jump from a moving train. The cameraman, he has this control monitor in one hand, and he has a huge camera, because last century the cameras, they were quite big. He has this huge camera, control monitor, and a huge backpack. I later saw that he had this 20 meters of cables, 100 tapes, or I don't know how many, plus 1 change of clothes for 1 overnight. I also had a huge backpack. I had 5 changes of clothes for 1 overnight. So we prepare for the jump, and the cameraman goes first, and he jumps as if he has been jumping all his life. Every Monday morning he has been jumping so professionally, with so much luggage with him. And I jump after him with my huge backpack. like a sack of potatoes. But anyway, I didn't fall, which is maybe the greatest sport achievement that I have had in my life. And from that moment on, I was so rejoiced to be alive that I let the cameraman take care. I just followed suit. What he did, he bought us tickets for the slow train back to Sofia, and then he called a friend of his. I didn't know at this time, this friend, he said, "Dude, go tank up the car, meet me at the railway station, and on the way to Plovdiv, I'll tell you the whole story." And the guy, he didn't hesitate a bit. He was more than thrilled and honored to be involved in this adventure. Next thing the cameraman did, he called my boss, and he explained that, we were on the wrong train. We ended up in northern Bulgaria, but we will find a way to come to Plovdiv. And I heard my boss screaming, shouting, yelling, cursing, swearing, and I was so happy because he has not received a heart attack, which I thought, because I didn't want to be accused for somebody being dead because of my stupid mistakes. The cameraman also gave instructions to my boss what to do. He had to entertain the customer, provide for additional drinks and snacks for the respondents at the group discussion, keep everybody happy, pay a little bit extra to the respondents, and they should be waiting for us. The rest of the trip, I spent with my eyes closed in the car of this guy, because I'm afraid of high speeds, and this guy was speeding like hell, and I was thinking, now, what should I do? Should I first compose my defense speech for when I meet my boss, or my letter of resignation, or directly, because of the driving of this guy, an obituary for the three of us? Anyway, we reached Plovdiv with 1 hour delay only, which is a great achievement for the driver. I was also alive, and then my boss came to me and started shouting at me, wanting to crucify me. And he started asking questions like, how the hell can you got on the wrong train? 50-50 chance? Do you know how much your mistakes cost my company? And I've studied business administration. I was ready to answer this question. But then the cameraman, he stepped in between us and he said to my boss, "Do you know, she has been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. She had quite a rough journey to Plovdiv, and she has 8 hours of simultaneous interpreting in front of her. Let's discuss whose fault it is after we finish work." And I thought, this guy, he's defending me when I'm at a fault, and he's also finding solutions to problems situations that are screwed up, which are plenty in my life. He can come in handy, and I married him.